Hi everyone, it's Scott here from That's English School 英語研究プロジェクトよくある間違いを分析します。このシリーズの目的はですね、普段誰も教えてくれないことについて話します。よく聞くのはですね、日本語はそうやって言うんだもん。英語はそうじゃないの？ほとんどの場合はですね、ちゃんとした理由があります。それ理解できれば間違いなく英会話の上達につながります。Let's talk about this in English. First, let's look at the problem. My salary is cheap. My salary is cheap. The first time I heard a sentence like this, I was confused. I had to think kind of hard. My salary is cheap? What does that actually mean? But after I thought about it for a couple of seconds, it finally dawned on me. This person probably means this. Right. But your English shouldn't be like a puzzle for people. In fast-paced daily conversation, you want to get your point across as quickly and succinctly as possible. That's a good word, succinct. In Japanese, it means kamena. So let's take a deep dive into the reasons why you shouldn't say, my salary is cheap. The reason here is the use of the word cheap. Now, don't get me wrong, cheap is a perfectly good word, but you just don't use it for talking about monthly salaries, weekly pay, or hourly rates. Interesting point there. Do you know why we use the word salary? Soldiers in the Roman army were sometimes paid with salt instead of money. Anyway, putting that aside, we never use the word cheap for talking about the amount of money a person is paid for work. The word cheap is usually used for the price of something that you buy or use. It's mainly used for an actual thing or a service. It's an active word that's used by the person who's paying the money. This car is pretty cheap. The rents are cheap in this part of town. I booked a flight to Scotland. It wasn't cheap. Souvenirs in Thailand are incredibly cheap. So in all those cases, they are said by the person who is actually spending the money. Of course, the same can be said for the antonym of cheap, which is expensive. An antonym is the opposite word for something, like big and small. So we would also never say, my salary is expensive. That's also a big no-no. So, what should we say? When you're talking about your salary or hourly rate, there are 3 ways to say it. The first one is this. High. He gets a high salary. His salary is high. The opposite would be low. He gets a low salary. His salary is low. The second one is good. She gets a good salary. Her salary is good. We can also say bad, but it's not quite so common. It's probably better to say they don't pay very well. The third one is big. He gets a big salary. The opposite could be small, but it's probably more common to say, he doesn't get a big salary. Another little point for you, instead of saying the word salary, you can use these expressions. Wages, the pay, or if you have a part-time job, remember, arubaito is not English, it's actually German. You would use the term hourly wage hourly rate, or hourly pay. There's also the expression, the minimum wage, which can vary from place to place. Let's take a look at 5 example sentences. The first one up is this. A big salary is not the be-all and end-all. You've got to think about the quality of life. The be-all and end-all means the most important thing. It's often used in a negative way. It's not the be-all and end-all. You should get a part-time job at that cram school. The hourly rate is really good. A cram school is a private business that students go to after school for extra lessons. To cram is actually a pretty negative word, which means to force things into a small space. I hear you got a new job. How's the pay? Yeah, pretty good. Higher than my last job. So simply put, the pay basically means the salary. And we could also use the interesting expression, payday. Maybe everyone's favorite day of the month. They say that doctors and lawyers get the highest salaries, but they also have to deal with a lot of stress. To deal with means to handle or to manage. In this case, we're talking about dealing with stress. He may not get paid a lot of money, but his lust for life is inspiring. So to have a lust for life is to have a passion, to have enthusiasm for what you do in life. Actually, Lust for Life is the name of a really good song by Iggy Pop. It was the theme song of one of my favorite movies, Trainspotting. If you've never seen it, you should check it out. If you're a busy person but you still want to study English, click right here. This is the 2-minute English playlist. 50 videos, perfect for people who are on the go. I'll see you over there.